Hello, I'm Mary Alice Williams.
And I'm Michael Hill.
Tonight on NJTV News, Obama's in Newark boosting a re-entry program that helps ex-cons find homes and jobs. Democratic senators support the criminal justice reforms. Republican Governor Christie from Camden says they were his idea.
The governor taunts the president on social media. He says Mr. Obama and the federal government get none of the credit for decreasing crime in Camden and implies the president shares some of the blame for soured police-community relations.
And ahead of tomorrow's election, we preview a Monmouth County contest that pits incumbent Christie Republicans against tax-reforming Democrats. It's a microcosm of state politics that presents the best chance for a big upset. Those stories and more next on NJTV News.
Major funding for NJTV News provided in part by Barnabas Health. Life is better healthy. Online at barnabashealth.org. The Star Ledger and NJ.com. And Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association. Live from the Agnes Varus NJTV studio at 2 Gateway Center in Newark, this is NJTV News with Mary Alice Williams.
Welcome to NJTV News. I'm Mary Alice Williams.
And I'm Michael Hill.
President Obama shining a light on Newark. Its programs aimed at helping former inmates come back home and helping kids at risk stay out of jail by reducing the violence around them, boosting their readiness for school, training them for jobs, and building their stake in the community.
His first stop, Integrity House, the state's largest rehabilitation facility where newly freed prisoners can find transitional homes, job training, and substance abuse treatment. Then to Rutgers Newark School of Criminal Justice that teaches inmates while they're incarcerated and finds them college placement once they're out.
David Cruz is standing by live. David, the president's just wrapped up his formal remarks. What can you tell us?
Yes, Mary Alice, we are outside Rutgers Law, which is just a little bit west of downtown Newark here. The president has just completed his remarks after spending an afternoon here talking to stakeholders involved in this fight. Criminal justice reform was the theme of the day, and the president spent some time here talking about efforts in that area that are underway in the city of Newark.
What I've seen is that there are people across the board, folks who work inside the criminal justice system, folks who are affected by the criminal justice system, who are saying there's got to be a better way to do this, and are not just asking questions about how we make the system smarter and more effective, but are also showing us how it's done and are actually implementing it. This afternoon I spent with the mayor and Senator Booker getting a firsthand look at how Newark is helping to lead the way. And as a partner in our My Brother's Keeper initiative, the mayor and the senator and congressman and others are working in a public-private partnership to focus on disrupting the pipeline from underfunded schools to overcrowded jails. Here in Newark, when it comes to rehabilitating prisoners and reintegrating former inmates into society, you've got organizations that are doing extraordinary work. And that's why I wanted to focus here today, because places like Integrity House, the work that's being done in our federal Renew program through the district court and our U.S. Attorney's Office, they are accomplishing extraordinary things. And when you meet folks who are taking that step to break addiction and overcome great odds, and you see what they've already accomplished and what more they're going to accomplish in the future, you cannot help but feel hopeful about the future. With a little bit of help, they can get on the right path. And that's what we have to invest in. That's what we have to believe. That's what we have to promote. That's why I'm so proud of what Newark's doing, and that's what I hope everybody learns. Thank you very much, everybody. God bless you.
David, what's the significance of President Obama's visit to Newark today?
Well, Mary Alice, a couple of things. First, he announced two new initiatives. One that drew most applause today was his banning the box. That is, asking employers to not ask potential employees whether they have a criminal record. The president essentially said, listen, we're asking the private sector to participate in this program. So he announced today that the federal government is going to do the same thing. They're not going to ask potential employees whether or not they have a criminal record. The other thing was that the president, announced a major grants program, $6 million for several municipalities, including Newark, which is engaging in a program called Tech Serve with NJIT, Audible, and Prudential, all involved in helping prisoners get jobs in the high-tech industry as coders and software developers. So those were the two main things that came out of this. But also, I think it was an important day for the city of Newark, which showed that it can host a presidential visit. It's a city that should get some more national attention for some of the good things that are happening here. It was also a good day for Rutgers Newark, which showed that on very short notice they can host a presidential visit. They had to close down this building and a parking lot nearby and closed off half of downtown to do it, but it worked and there were no major disruptions aside from traffic. It was also important for Ras Baraka, who was mentioned several times by the president and really across the country is gaining a reputation as someone who is really on the vanguard of criminal justice reform, including starting a civilian complaint review board in this city, something that has never happened before. And that's a process that he's involved in right now, as well as My Brother's Keeper, which is a federal program that is doing very well here in Newark. And lastly, it's worth mentioning that Integrity House received a lot of props today. And this is an organization that has been involved in providing housing and training and education for people who have come out of prison. Thousands every year in Newark, mostly young Black and Latino men who try to find a way back into society. And Integrity House has been doing this for 50 years, really, in a way, before it was cool. So all of that happening here today in Newark. We'll send it back to you, Mary Alice and Mike.
Okay, thank you, David.
Neither the governor nor the lieutenant governor greeted President Obama today in Newark. Instead, the governor held a last-minute event on public safety in Camden that resembled an event he held not that long ago. Perhaps he wanted to avoid any appearance of supporting President Obama. Michael Aaron reports.
Call it a piece of counter-programming. With the president in Newark talking criminal justice, Chris Christie did the same 90 miles south in Camden, seeming to undercut the president.
It's wonderful for the president to come to New Jersey and acknowledge the work that's been done in New Jersey by leaders of New Jersey. What's happening here and what he's celebrating today has nothing to do with anything that the federal government's had anything to do with. And frankly, given the really negative nature of what's been going on with law enforcement across the country on the president's watch, I thought it was very important for us to acknowledge law enforcement.
Christie has been saying for a week now that Obama does not support law enforcement. He said it on TV this morning.
The governor stands behind law enforcement, unlike this president, who does not support law enforcement. And you've got a president of the United States who does not support law enforcement. He simply doesn't. And he's going to come today to New Jersey, at a place where, under my tenure, we have reduced crime 20% and reduced the prison population 10%.
He said it here. Can you explain what you mean by that? But he doesn't support law enforcement?
I think it's pretty evident, Michael. The president always takes the opportunity to think the worst of the men and women in uniform, always first assumes the worst, and his rhetoric has not been supportive of all of the men and women in uniform around this country. And it's his own FBI director who has said that this type of conduct has made a chill wind go through law enforcement across this country.
The event was at Camden County Police Headquarters. Camden is in the third year of an experiment. The county took over the city police force, and since then crime has gone down. Obama himself visited here in May to celebrate that success. Christie chalks it up to good community policing.
You all are the proof that what was once the most violent city in America can be turned around.
Like Obama, he held a round table with stakeholders and was struck by what one police officer said.
Someone was outside jogging and riding a bicycle, and I was just in awe. I was caught off guard.
He saw folks riding their bike and jogging in the city of Camden at 9 o'clock at night. He said he's lived here his whole life. and he couldn't imagine that there was going to be a time when people would actually do that.
To guarantee maximum coverage, Christie held a rare press availability with New Jersey media outlets. He told reporters Obama is trying to take credit for reforms here, like the bail system, drug court, and a ban-the-box prisoner reentry measure.
I mean, it is nice for him to show up on the law enforcement issue, because he really hasn't much. And, you know, all these criminal justice reforms he's talking about, none of them are initiatives of his. You know, he's being pushed to this by others. And now all of a sudden he wants to come and take a victory lap at Integrity House? He wouldn't have known what Integrity House was unless Cory Booker told him. So I'm going to sign this executive order.
Christie signed an executive order here making this Thursday and every November 5th after Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. It's the day of the annual Blue Mass for fallen officers, he explained. We took today's chance to check in with him on his presidential candidacy. Governor, you've been a candidate for 4 months. The polls have barely moved. What do you say to supporters who are getting discouraged?
I don't know. You talking to supporters who are getting discouraged? I'm not. The fact is that this is a race where 80% of the people polled say they haven't made up their mind yet. So that's a pretty good number.
Governor, can you discuss why you...
This afternoon, the White House responded to Christie's comments about Obama and police. Press Secretary Josh Earnest called them particularly irresponsible, adding they are not surprising for someone whose poll numbers are closer to an asterisk than they are to double digits. Folks?
Michael, you know, Democratic State Senator Ray Lesniak toured the talk shows himself this morning, saying that the criminal justice reforms in New Jersey stem from bills he, a Democrat, sponsored and the former governor, John Corzine, signed 2 years before Christie took office.
Well, he's partially right. Most mandatory minimum sentences for nonviolent drug offenses are gone thanks to a bill of Lesniak's that Corzine signed in 2008. On the other hand, bail reform, ban the box at the state level, we heard Obama talking about it at the federal level, and drug court are all accomplishments of the Christie era. Lesniak says the drug court provisions have not really been implemented yet, that it's still just in a couple counties.
On the national level there, Governor Christie is staking some higher ground in this debate over debates. His challengers are saying, you know, let's reform this, let's do some things with the moderates. Christie's saying, look, stop all the whining, let's debate.
That's right. He's staying above the fray. He was asked about it today. There was a meeting last night in suburban Washington. At least 11 campaigns were represented. Christie was represented at the meeting, but he has come out of it. Unlike Trump, who's saying, I don't want to be on Telemundo, or Bush, who's saying we should restore NBC's rights to a debate. Christie is saying, who cares? As long as we're on TV, it doesn't matter what network, what channel, we just need to be there.
You know, a surprising new Monmouth University poll just came out that shows Governor Christie did well in the debate and has really expanded his favorabilities up in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire, Christie is now tied for 7th with Carly Fiorina at 5%. He was at 2% in the Monmouth poll in September. So that's improvement. In that same poll, Donald Trump still leads at 26, Ben Carson at 16. Marco Rubio has moved way up from 4% to 13%. He's in 3rd place. John Kasich at 11% is in 4th place.
And this new standing assures that he'll be in the next debate, the Fox News debate.
I'm not sure that they're going to use Monmouth. Monmouth was used early on. I'm not sure if they're going to use Monmouth for the next debate or not. It would help if they do.
It certainly would. All right, thank you, Michael Aaron.
Thank you, folks.
President Obama was in line for a pitch to invest in new gun technology. That tops tonight's Garden State Express. Our first stop, Trenton, where State Senate Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg has gone back to the drawing board. 13 years ago, the legislature passed a law on smart guns loaded with fingerprint technology, so they can't be fired by anyone except by the owner. The law stipulated that 3 years after that technology was available, gun shops could sell only smart guns. But pro-gun groups blocked gun shops from stocking them, so while the technology exists, the guns don't. Now Weinberg wants that law repealed. She says she'll introduce a new law this Thursday, and she tells us an important guest, who is not President Clinton, will be there. Next to Jersey City, where Friends of Liberty State Park enlisted the help of the cycling set to save it. Some 200 cyclers circled the park to demonstrate against turning it over to developers. As part of its Sustainable Parks initiative, the Christie administration commissioned the so-called Liberty State Park Assessment Report. Now, the results haven't been made public, but the prospect of commercial developments has preservationists fighting to keep the park as pristine and precious as it is today. Finally, Wildwood Crest celebrating a homegrown triathlete who's won it all down under. Joe Malloy is the first American in history to finish first in Australia's elite Noosa Triathlon. He completed the 1.5-kilometer swim, 40-kilometer cycle, and 10-kilometer run in 1 hour, 47 minutes, 4 seconds. 4 seconds ahead of second best. While he was a Division I swimmer for Boston College, he was on the Wildwood Crest Beach Patrol and won the Cape May Beach Patrol Super Athlon. That might have been Malloy's competitive edge because, for the first time, the swim leg took place not in a Noosa River Canal, but in the Pacific Ocean, just like being home in a different hemisphere. And that's our Garden State Express for Monday, November 2nd, 2015. Something up in your town? Tip us off.
Lies, lack of character charges, and lawsuit threats, all in one assembly race in Monmouth County's 11th district. The incumbents are Republicans, but outnumbered in voter registration. One of the big issues, high property taxes. The big question, who's going to give relief to homeowners as NJ decides? Brianna Vannozzi reports.
I just wanted to remind you that tomorrow's election day.
With hours to go before Assembly candidate Joanne Downey is making the push for votes in the 11th district.
We've knocked on almost 7,000 doors. People can't afford to live in their homes. They can't afford their mortgages. They work 3 jobs and they're suffering. That shouldn't be.
She and her running mate, Eric Hotelling, are hoping to use Governor Christie's low approval ratings to their advantage in an attempt to unseat 2 Republican assemblywomen in the Monmouth County district.
I think people really do want to change and see people work in Trenton, because I don't think the people who are there honestly are working to do anything. I think they're comfortable in their position and we need to do some work.
The race has emerged as one to watch since the downward spiral of Republican candidates in the 38th district began.
We have a great shot of winning. This is a competitive district. I think people are tired of 2 legislators that have followed Chris Christie for the last 7 years.
Special interest groups have spent heavily for Democrats throughout the state and in this shore county.
Trenton is a sick town because of the amount of money that floats around it and because of the special interest stranglehold.
Special interest groups have spent nearly $10 million in both the primary and general election this year, according to the Election Law Enforcement Commission. Most of the spending was done by a Democratic-led group called General Majority PAC. Democrats have almost twice as much in their war chest as Republicans. The 11th district is one of the top for total spending this year.
I think they're smart enough to ask themselves, well, if that kind of money is being spent to buy that vote of that assembly person, what are they getting out of it? Why is that special interest group spending hundreds of thousands of dollars for an assembly seat? How much money are they planning to take out of Trenton and raise our taxes by?
The district has been solidly red for years, despite the Democratic advantage here. Out of nearly 140,000 registered voters, 27% are Democrats, while only 20% are registered Republican. More than half, though, are unaffiliated.
And we win it handily. I think last time we won it by 9,000 votes. And that's because we don't focus on R issues or D issues.
The incumbents will be out tonight on a campaign bus tour with the Lieutenant Governor and Minority Leader Bramnick. Both sides say the expected low voter turnout means they'll have to turn to their party faithful to get people out of their homes and into the booths. In Tinton Falls, I'm Brianna Vannozzi, NJTV News.
For today's NJTV News question, are you voting tomorrow? And if so, what issues most concern you? Share your thoughts with us on our Facebook page or tweet us.
Yes, of course. Jobs for the young people, after school people. To me, I think that's very important.
Well, actually, I really don't know because I wasn't into it yet. And I'm just understanding what's going on now.
I do, yes, yeah. I want to see more sort of local as opposed to charter schools, and just expanded healthcare spending, more affordable housing, which has been kind of a big issue.
They're lifesavers for many in North Jersey, and they're needed on the Jersey Shore. Assistance dogs do a whole lot more than just guide the blind. They can offer social companionship, turn on the lights, and take a total of 40 commands. They help those with physical disabilities lead an independent life. Lauren Wanko reports.
He's pretty much my extra pair of hands.
Assistance dog Orson opens refrigerator doors and cabinets, hands a wallet over to cashiers, picks up everything from remote controls to empty cups, and so much more. He's become part of the Bratnick household.
He is basically one of my best friends, and he has helped me to open up more to people about having a disability and living with a disability, and help me get to a sense of normality. Okay, I am normal.
25-year-old college student Kimberly Bratnick has cerebral palsy. She has limited use of her legs and arms. 7 years ago, a national nonprofit that breeds, raises, and trains assistance dogs for those with physical disabilities other than blindness. The nonprofit uses lab and golden retrievers and crosses of the two. It costs more than $50,000 per dog. It's free to all recipients. Canine Companions is funded by individuals, corporations, and foundations. Orson and Kim go everywhere together. He's been on cruises and loves Disney World.
I've seen Kim grow. I've seen Kim become independent.
When Kim started to go to college, she was the kid in the wheelchair, and people kind of shied away. And then she started bringing Orson, and people wanted to come over and find out about Orson. Then she became Kim. Oh, by the way, she has a service dog.
When the dogs reach about 8 weeks old, they're adopted by volunteer puppy raisers. The volunteers take the pups into their homes and teach them basic commands and socialization skills by taking them to restaurants, on shopping trips, and other outings. The Bratnicks are determined to raise awareness about the organization, which is why they travel all over the state to give presentations and fundraise too. They're also puppy raisers. This is their third puppy, Sutter. He's 6 months old, and he'll live here until next November.
Puppy raising is like eating potato chips. You just can't raise one.
When the dogs are about 1.5, they head back to one of Canine Companions' regional headquarters. Then they start 6 months of advanced training. Only about 4 out of 10 dogs graduate. They learn more than 40 commands useful to a person with disabilities. Meantime, human applicants go through a thorough interview process.
While we're training the dogs, we are getting a very thorough understanding of your lifestyles and needs, so that when we have an appropriate dog ready and for a class, we would then invite you in to participate in that class.
Kim and other recipients spend 2 weeks in team training with the dogs.
And the dogs are already trained, so it's smart dog, stupid human.
The dogs must undergo recertification tests every year. Canine Companions places assistance dogs in other facilities like hospitals and rehab centers and with wounded veterans. Kim looks forward to one day accepting her college diploma with Orson by her side.
People like me are capable of doing anything we want, and our service dogs are an extension of that. They help us accomplish and do these amazing superhero tasks.
In Beechwood, I'm Lauren Wanko, NJTV News.
Tomorrow on NJTV News, polls open at 6 a.m. in a legislative election that'll determine our taxes, our transportation infrastructure, and our future. I'm Mary Alice Williams.
And I'm Michael Hill. For all of us, thank you for watching.
New Jersey manufacturers, auto insurance, and more for New Jersey Business and Industry Association members and their employees. PSE&G, serving customers, strengthening the business community, and investing in New Jersey's future. And the members of the New Jersey Education Association, making public schools great for every child.
Many people aren't aware that flood damage to homes and businesses is not covered by homeowners or commercial property insurance. A separate flood policy, which is administered by the National Flood Insurance Program, is available. More information on flood coverage can be found at floodsmart.gov. This message is brought to you by NJM Insurance Group.
In this rapidly changing healthcare era, Barnabas Health is dedicated to promoting wellness, preventing sickness, and managing the health of the populations we serve. We've created award-winning outreach initiatives that encourage our communities to adopt healthier lifestyles. We're building a system of care with partnerships across the region. It's designed to increase access to healthcare providers, especially in outpatient settings, to offer more options for high-quality, cost-effective, and seamless family-centered care. Barnabas Health, proud to support NJTV.